Hello everyone and welcome to the online lecture series by Shet Vidya Mandir English High School and Junior College of Science and Commerce. Myself Jayesh Rajgor and today we are going to study chapter number 3b Elasticity of Demand Methods of Measuring Price Elasticity of Demand. Yes, my dear students, in the previous chapter you have already studied the law of demand which shows the inverse relationship between quantity demanded and price of a commodity. The law of demand does not explain the extent of a change in demand due to change in price. Thus, law of demand fails to explain the quantitative relationship between price and quantity demanded. Therefore, Professor Alfred Marshall explained the concept of elasticity of demand. In the previous video lectures, we started with elasticity of demand. The term elasticity indicates responsiveness of one variable to a change in other variable. Elasticity of demand refers to the degree of responsiveness of a quantity demanded to a change in its price or any other factor. According to Professor Marshall, elasticity of demand is great or small according to the amount demanded, which rises much or little for a given fall in price, and quantity demanded falls much or little for a given rise in price. It is clear from the above that elasticity of demand is technical term which describes the responsiveness of a change in quantity demanded. Yes, my dear students, we studied price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand, and cross elasticity. Here are some five types of price elasticity of demand, which state that perfectly elastic demand means ED is equal to infinite. Perfectly inelastic demand means ED is equal to 0. Unitary elastic demand means ED is equal to 1. Relatively elastic demand is ED greater than 1 and relatively inelastic means ED less than 1. It is essential to also understand how demand can be measured, and thus today's topic of discussion is methods of measuring these price elasticity of demand. How exactly we can measure the change or responsiveness of demand due to its change in price. Here are the three methods given to us: ratio or percentage method, total expenditure or outlay method, and point or geometric method. Let us study each one of them in detail. Ratio or percentage method. My dear students, this method is developed by Professor Marshall. According to this method, elasticity of demand is measured by dividing the percentage change in demand by the percentage change in price. So the formula is very simple. Percentage method is also known as arithmetic method. Price elasticity is nothing but percentage change in quantity demanded upon percentage change in its price. So mathematically, the formula is very clear. ED is equal to change in quantity upon change in price. Let us understand ratio or percentage method with the help of an example. Here, we have two important columns, price in rupees and quantity demanded in kg. You can see, my dear students, in the first case, the original price P is 20 and quantity demanded in kg at price 20 is 10. Similarly, the price changes and increases from 20 to rupees 25. Here, with the increase in price, there is change in quantity demanded from 10 to 9. So, the formula states change in quantity upon change in price. So, we need to find the difference between new and original price and difference between new and original demand. When we formulate, we can easily understand that The change between new and original price is 5, and the change in new and original demand is 1, and thus ED is equal to 0.4, that is less than 1. It means elasticity of demand is relatively inelastic. Moving to the next one. The next method is total expenditure method. This method was developed by Professor Marshall. In this method, total amount of expenditure before and after the price change is compared. The most simplest one. Yes, my dear students. Total expenditure. The name itself suggests that it is about the total expenses we have made, and a comparative study of the total expenditure earlier and after the price change. So the formula is very simple. Total expenditure is equal to price into quantity demanded. And thus, here only three important elasticity of demand can be observed. Relatively elastic demand, that is greater than 1, unitary elastic demand, that is ED is equal to 1, and relatively inelastic demand, that is ED less than 1. Let us understand total expenditure method with an example. Here we have two important columns: price in rupees P, quantity demanded in units Q. To find the total expenditure, P into Q will be our formula. Here, in case A, we can see the price was 10 and the quantity demanded was 6. So 10 into 6 is 60. But when the price increases from 10 to 20, the quantity demanded decreases from 6 to 5. 20 into 5 is 100, and thus we can state that the expenditure here has increased after the change in price, and thus ED greater than 1. In this way, we can suggest that total expenditure method is a very simpler one which explains us with a comparative study of our total expenditure how much exactly the elasticity of demand is. In case B also, you can see earlier the price was 30 and the quantity demanded was 4. 30 into 4 is 120, the total expenditure. But when price changes from 30 to 40, the quantity demand is 3. 40 into 3 is 120, and thus ED is equal to 1. Similarly, in case C, the price is 50, quantity is 2, price becomes 60, quantity is 1. Here you can see 50 into 2 is 100, 61 is 60, so ED is less than 1. So in this way, total expenditure method helps us in understanding elasticity of demand. Moving on to the next one, point method or geometric method. Professor Marshall has developed another method to measure elasticity of demand, which is known as point method or geometric method. The ratio method and total outlay method are unable to measure elasticity of demand at a given point on the demand curve. Yes, my dear students, at any point on the demand curve, elasticity of demand is measured with the help of the following formula. This formula says lower segment of the curve below a given point, that is L, upon upper segment of demand curve above a given point. Let us understand this method with the help of an example. Here, let us assume that AB is a demand curve. You can observe figure 3.16. We have AB, the demand curve. We are assuming its length is 8 centimeter. Point elasticity at various points on a linear demand curve can be measured as follows. Example 1. At point P, the point elasticity is measured as P is equal to PB upon PA. As our formula says, lower segment upon the upper segment. So, We have assumed the length to be 8 centimeter. So at point P, the above measurement is 4 and the below measurement is also 4. So 4 upon 4 is equal to 1. Thus, at point P, demand is unitary elastic. ED is equal to 1. Similarly, if we assume that the AB curve is of 8 centimeter and the sections are 2 centimeter each, we can easily calculate various elasticity of demand. Thus, point or geometric method is also a great method to understand elasticity of demand at each given point on a linear demand curve. But what if the demand curve is nonlinear? Yes, when the demand curve is nonlinear, that is convex to origin, to measure price elasticity of demand, we have to draw a tangent, that is AB, touching the given point on the demand curve and extending it to meet y-axis at point A and x-axis at point B. Once again, the formula remains the same. Lower segment of the tangent below a given point divided by upper segment of the tangent above a given point. So the tangent is the only thing which makes the difference. So hopefully this video is helpful and here you understand all the three types of measuring elasticity of demand. In the next video, we'll continue with chapter number 3B, elasticity of demand. Till then, stay safe, stay connected.